The northern forests of Canada and the upper Great Lakes. Sub-zero winters that last for half the year. Vast pine wilderness where a person can disappear in minutes. For centuries, the Algonquian peoples, the Cree, the Ojibwe, the Innu, have warned about a single being that walks these woods. The Wendigo, the hunger that never ends. The Wendigo, in traditional Algonquian belief, is not a monster you simply meet in the woods. It is a spirit that infects people, specifically people who have committed a particular sin. Cannibalism, or more broadly, the kind of greed that consumes others to survive. Once the spirit takes hold, the human transforms, slowly, over weeks. By the end, they are something else entirely. The transformed Wendigo is described across Algonquian oral tradition in terrifyingly consistent detail. Tall, sometimes twice human height. Gaunt, with skin pulled tight against bone. Long, sharp limbs, antlers in some versions, a heart of solid ice, and no matter how much it eats, it remains hungry. The hunger is the curse. The eating is the symptom. The legend has practical roots. Algonquian peoples lived through brutal northern winters, where food often ran out by mid-season. Starvation drove some isolated groups to extreme choices. When they survived through cannibalism, they were said to have been infected by the Wendigo spirit. The legend is a warning, a boundary, a line. Cross this line and you do not come back human. There is a documented psychiatric condition associated with this folklore, Wendigo psychosis, recorded by missionaries, traders, and physicians in the 18th and 19th centuries. Affected individuals, almost always Algonquian, would develop intense fear that they were becoming Wendigo, accompanied by a craving for human flesh. Modern psychiatry treats this as a culture-bound syndrome. The diagnosis is rare, but the historical record is real. The most famous case was Swift Runner, a Plains Cree trapper. Winter of 1879, northern Alberta. Despite living within a day's walk of a fur trading post stocked with food, Swift Runner killed and ate his entire family of 7 over the winter. When questioned, he claimed he had been overcome by the Wendigo. He was hanged in 1879, one of the first people legally executed in the Northwest Territories. The Algonquian elders who interpreted his crime were unanimous. Swift Runner had not been suffering from mental illness in any modern sense. He had become Wendigo. The proper response, in their tradition, would have been to identify the symptoms early and stop him. Some traditional Algonquian healers, called Wendigo hunters, did exactly this work for centuries. They were the community's last line of defense. The Wendigo legend has also become a metaphor across modern indigenous and academic discourse. It has been used to describe colonialism, industrial extraction of natural resources, corporate consumerism. The metaphor is powerful. A force that consumes endlessly without ever being satisfied. A hunger that, by its nature, cannot be fed. The Wendigo is everywhere. There is greed without limits. If you spend time in the northern forests of Canada or the upper U.S., Algonquin Park, the Boundary Waters, northern Manitoba, parts of Maine, locals may still ask you not to whistle in the woods after dark. Whistling is said to attract a Wendigo's attention. Most people you ask don't believe in the legend, but they don't whistle either. Just in case, what does the Wendigo really teach us? Folk scholars argue the legend is, at its core, a warning about the cost of placing oneself above the community. Cannibalism is the literal version of consuming your neighbor, but there are many quieter versions. Hoarding when others starve, profiting from others' losses, refusing to share. Algonquian elders, when asked, often say the Wendigo lives wherever someone has chosen themselves over their community. Modern Wendigo. The legend has appeared in countless horror films, novels, and video games. Stephen King's Pet Sematary draws heavily on it. Native American filmmakers have reclaimed the story to challenge non-Indigenous adaptations. Some traditional elders ask non-Indigenous storytellers to be careful. The Wendigo is not just folklore. It is a serious figure within active spiritual traditions. Treat it with respect. If you ever find yourself in the northern forests, in deep winter, alone, and you notice you are unusually hungry, unusually fixated on food, unusually willing to consider what might be considered taboo, Remember the Wendigo. Remember that some of the oldest stories on this continent have been about exactly this kind of moment. Eat the food in your pack. Walk back toward the others. Don't whistle. The legend is older than the country it lives in. Walk in the forest with respect. Eat with the community. Share when you can. Refuse to consume what should not be consumed. The Wendigo, in the end, is what you become when you stop. The Algonquian peoples have known this for thousands of years. Maybe it is time the rest of us listened.